Hello there, welcome back. So let's talk about story number 4, what I call the another actor story. So in a relationship where you have a couple, for each half of the couple, they both view that that relationship is the most important relationship in their life. It's the most significant. It's the primary relationship. It's their number one commitment to another person. When you have another actor, though, that means there's someone else or something outside the relationship that is basically exerting control and influence and demanding that they respond on one half of the couple. Now, I know immediately you're going to think, okay, that's cheating, that's a cheating situation, that's an affair situation. Yes, that's absolutely part of it. But it could also be, a really crazy, domineering, narcissistic, borderline family member. It could be an all-consuming job or career that just sucks away time and all their time and energy to something outside the relationship. It could be a hobby or a sport or whatever it is, but that thing or that person becomes their primary commitment. That becomes the most important thing or important person in their life. So for the relationship, what that means is that time, money, energy, effort, emotion goes outside the relationship, leaving less and less and less for the other person in the relationship. It also tends to mean in some way that the person who has this whole other thing happening needs support and help and assistance in some way, shape, or form to handle all of that. So not only are they not giving energy to their partner, not giving love and attention to their partner, they are also demanding support from their partner so that they can keep giving to the thing outside the relationship. So it creates this really icky scenario where the person who is, trying to have this committed relationship is not getting what they want from it and is being demanded to give even more. And this other person, the other half of the relationship, is just constantly split and not paying attention, torn between two things, not sure what they're meant to do, or just completely oblivious to the effect on their partner. And I know some of you are probably thinking, okay, well, now you're comparing affairs to crazy mother-in-law, job, hobbies, whatever. It's just that dynamic of this thing outside the relationship pulls away time, attention, money, emotions, and energy. Here's the real important thing in terms of the other stories when it comes to this fourth story. If you have a story number 1 situation, so the attraction question, or you have a story number 2 situation, there's some sort of emotional blockage and difficulty at being in a relationship. If you have either of those, and you have a story 4 situation happening, you are going to make no progress at all on the story number 1 and story number 2 situation. So story number 1, you're building up your attractiveness. You're making yourself more appealing. You're making yourself better. And it doesn't matter because all their attention is somewhere else. They don't even really notice you making these changes. You're busting your butt at the gym. You're wearing better clothes. You're doing all sorts of things to raise your attraction. They ain't even paying attention. If it's a story number 2 and you're like trying to get them to deal with whatever their big emotional problem is, well, you have no leverage because, again, all their attention is somewhere else and all their attention is devoted to fixing that person or that entity's major problem. That's the primary problem, and the thing you're talking about in the relationship is a secondary problem. So if a story number 4 situation is happening, it makes fixing everything else so much more difficult. And when it comes to affair situations, it is extremely rare that some of the other three stories aren't already in play. So you have this other person, this other illicit relationship that one half of the couple is into, pulling all their energy, attention, emotion into this outside relationship, and there can always be attraction issues. There can always be sort of mental health and crazy issues, and it may just be story three, and they are just done with the relationship anyway. So the affair situations are usually extremely difficult to fix because you have all the different layers of stories. Okay, what do you do? How do you get to the end of the story? How do you fix it? The most important thing you have to do is try and create a united front against whatever this outside thing is. So it's the two of you on the same page, and every time this outside thing is coming up, it's the two of you together as a united front responding to whatever that thing is. This is particularly important for the toxic, extended family members, because they will try and split the two of you. They have to split you up so that they get in to get what they want from it all. So when you provide this united front, it's going to frustrate those outside people an awful lot. And you're going to have to weather an enormous storm of accusation and bad mouthing you or whatever it is. That whole avalanche of duty fighting tactics is going to come your way when you stand up to this thing. With everything else, though, affair situations and things like a completely overwhelming work life or hobby or whatever it is, sometimes you just have to draw a line in the sand and be absolutely demanding that this outside influence stops and the relationship becomes the primary relationship. You have to bear in mind, too, that when something is as consuming as that is, very often they need their partner's support to make that happen. They can't work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, without you being at home, cooking, cleaning, taking care of the bills, all the kids stuff, doing everything else in the family and relationship to free them up to do whatever their big thing is. So sometimes the only way forward is to shock them into reality and withdraw all that support. Let them fall flat on their face. Like, no, I am not going to live my whole life around allowing you to be with this other person, to do this other thing, to handle this completely separate problem. I'm not going to be here supporting that. If you want to go do that, if you want that to be your primary thing, go do that as your primary thing. But I'm not going to sit here as your plan B. I'm not going to sit here as your support servant. I'm going to go live my own life, find a primary relationship, a primary thing of my own, and you won't have me. And very often it takes that level of shock to break through to people that they are starting to blow up something that is actually rather precious to them. So it's I know it's a really scary, hard tactic, but when it comes down to it, very often, like I say, you're supporting them, not paying attention to it. You're helping them give their time and energy to this outside thing that absolutely doesn't have your interests as part of their thought process at all. So, united front, weathering the storm of accusation and drama. And if your partner is really just completely fixated on this other thing and you're supporting them, you kick away the stool that they're standing on. So, I know that's really short. I know that sounds very dramatic, but essentially that's what most of this boils down to. If you want a primary relationship with someone, it's a very reasonable expectation that you are their primary relationship if they are your primary relationship. Do not be someone else's plan B. Always insist on being plan A. So, that's it for today, and we will talk again soon.